Hello everyone. In the last session I have discussed already the major relief features of the ocean basin. It is the second part of that chapter of reliefs of ocean basin. So here in this chapter, since we have left with the minor reliefs of ocean basin, we will discuss and see that how these minor relief features have been formed there and where they are formed. What are the characteristics of these minor relief features? We will see one by one all those features, right? So let us start with the video. See here, since I left you here up to the trench and we discussed as the last point as the Mariana Trench. So after that I have to discuss here the minor relief features, and the first minor relief features which I want to discuss here is the mid-oceanic ridges, right? Now before I proceed with the section, here you have to see that what are these mid-oceanic ridges, and second thing, how they are formed there. Okay, before that, if you remember that how trenches are formed, I told you that trenches are formed when the two plates are converging towards each other. If you remember that, I told you about these things, right? Now for mid-oceanic ridges, the things which you must consider here are, first of all, what are these ridges? What kind of features are called ridges? So for the ridges you have to understand that ridges are such relief features which are seen as chains of mountains, right? Chains of mountains are considered as ridges, and ridges are not only confined. We have heard so many of names of ridges there on the continental part. Likewise, the continental part, we can see the occurrence and the formation of ridges in the oceanic part. Since such ridges are present in the oceanic region, in mid of the oceans, that is why they have been called as the mid-oceanic ridges. Got it? So this is the first point you have to understand. Second thing, you have to understand that how these mid-oceanic ridges are formed. So the formation of mid-oceanic ridges is related to formation of mid-oceanic ridges is related to the divergent plate movement. What kind of plate movement? Divergent plate movement. So if I tell you the divergent plate movement, this means that two plates are going apart from each other. Got it? Two plates are going apart from each other. So here you can understand the things. I am just making this diagram and I hope that you will understand the things clearly. Okay. See, this is one of the plate. This is one of the plates, and the other plate I can make here like this. Sorry. These are the two plates, right? These are the two plates, and the two plates are moving apart. Now if I ask you that on which part the plates are moving, and what are plates? First of all, the question is, what are plates? So one can say that plates are slabs of lithosphere. The whole lithosphere, which is the you can say the uppermost solid mantle, which is the part of crust and uppermost solid mantle, and combining both these parts of the Earth's upper layer is defined as lithosphere. I told you about this in the chapter of structure of the earth. But at the same time, I told you that this part of lithosphere is floating over the asthenosphere region. Asthenosphere is that part in the earth which is having molten material, and on that molten material this solid part or this rocky part is floating. Now there are various theories and concepts that basically defines that how these portion of lithosphere got separated and got divided into so many of parts, and those parts have been defined as plates. So now these plates are actually floating over the magmatic material present in the asthenosphere. Okay, all you know. Now if I tell you that these plates are actually nearer to each other, if I say that these plates are nearer to each other, say this one is the plate, okay, and this one was okay, the two plates are nearer to each other. The two plates are nearer to each other in this way. And when initially they were combined, but after that when they were moving, right? So what I make here, say it is the magmatic material over which the plates are moving, right? This is the magmatic material or the molten material over which the plates are moving, okay? So if the plates are moving here, if the plates are moving here, so remember that when these plates are going apart from each other, some magmatic material come out from the gap, right? The plates are moving apart from each other. This plate is moving in this direction, this plate is moving in this direction, and another plate is moving in this direction. When this happen, so you can consider here that the magmatic material may come out from this gap, right? The magmatic material may come out from this gap, okay? And when the magmatic material is coming out from this gap, it is called the upwelling of magma, right? It is called the upwelling of magma. Now when upwelling of magma is taking place, you can say the magmatic material get upwelled here, and so that the magmatic material get deposited over here on both sides of the plate, right? On the two plates the magmatic material is getting deposited, right, in this way. Okay, so if you can see the magmatic material when get deposited over the plates, so a highland or an uplifted relief feature is formed, right? An uplifted relief feature is formed, that is formed all along the gaps that is formed with the plate, right? All along the plate it is formed in this way. Okay, so you can imagine here, you can imagine from here that how a mountain, a chain of mountain, right? A chain of mountain, because if you can say the magmatic material is coming out from this gap, this magmatic material get deposited here and here in this way. This magmatic material get deposited here and here in this way. And so that you can say the magmatic material which get deposited here, so it forms a chains of mountain. It forms a chain of mountain here. Now this chain of mountain is called as the mid-oceanic ridge. Got it? So particularly if we want to define this, if we want to define this mid-oceanic ridge, you can say that a chain of mountain is formed under the ocean water, particularly due to the divergent plate movement. How it is formed? It is formed due to the divergent plate movement. That is very important. Got it? So here you can see that this divergent plate movement causes the formation of such chains, and these chains are formed in the Atlantic Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, as well as in the Indian Ocean. Wherever you can find that in the oceanic region, in the mid of the oceanic region, which is mostly covered by the abyssal plain or the deep sea plain, in that region, if there are certain gaps which basically separate one part of the lithospheric slab from other part of the lithospheric slab, which you can call with the name of plates, right? So when two plates are diverging from each other, such upwelling of magmatic material is taking place there, and this upwelling of magmatic material become the cause behind the formation of the mid-oceanic ridges. Got it? This is the region. Okay. So now I am taking the slide here, and with the slide we will see here that how mid-oceanic ridges are formed. Mid-oceanic ridges are defined as the underwater mountain chains. These are the underwater mountain chains, as I told you, and formed by which process? Formed by the divergent tectonic plates or divergent moving plates, right? In any way you can say it, right? So mid-oceanic ridges are such kind of things. Okay. Now we will see here, though covered under the minor relief features in the ocean basin, the mid-oceanic ridges are the most extensive relief features. How they are extensive? Because as we have seen that when two plates are diverging from each other, obviously these plates are not simple slab. These are not the simple slabs of the rocks. These are very large slabs, thousands of kilometers in the length. They are of thousands of kilometers in length. Their width is quite wide, right? And they are also so much thick. Okay. So in that way you can say these plates are having the dimensions. And with this dimension, if the plates are moving apart from each other, obviously the magnetic material that is coming out, that get upwelled from below and then deposited on both sides on the plates. So they form a kind of chain of mountain here, right? In this way the chain of mountain is formed. So these are quite extensive. Obviously, since they are the part of one of the major relief feature, mostly they are formed in the region of abyssal plain, in the region of deep sea plains. That is why they have been defined under the minor relief features. They have been defined under the minor relief feature. Okay. Now, see here. All the mid-oceanic ridges are of volcanic origin. Obviously, they are of volcanic origin because upwelling of magma is taking place. Got it? Upwelling of magma is taking place there. That is why they are volcanic in origin. They are always associated with divergent plate margins and seafloor spreading. Seafloor spreading means, actually we are defining here the deep sea plains as the seafloor, right? And when the seafloors are moving apart from each other, and between two plates of seafloor or two plates of the oceanic lithospheric or oceanic crust, you can say, the magmatic material is coming out. So this magmatic material actually serves as a buffer zone, or you can say a point of joining between the two plates, right? So that is why the seafloor got spreaded in the region of mid-oceans, right? And that is why these are always associated with the divergent plate margins and the seafloor spreading. How they are characterized? They are characterized by the active volcanism. Obviously, wherever the magmatic material is coming out from the down, coming out from below, so these are the regions of the active volcanism, right? These are the regions of the active volcanism. And whenever such events are going on, sometimes seismic events, or you can say the earthquake waves, can also be formed. So these earthquake waves cause seismic events, and the upwelling of magma is basically taken with the volcanic eruption, right? With the volcanic eruption, or you can say the active volcanism is taken place there. Now here we will see the best example of the mid-oceanic ridge. The best example is taken as the mid-Atlantic ridge. What is that? It is the mid-Atlantic ridge. Mid-Atlantic ridge is basically the mid-oceanic ridge that is found in the region of Atlantic Ocean. Here you must remember that this mid-Atlantic ridge is having a length more than 14,000 kilometers from the north to the south, right? From north it starts and it goes up to the south. So here we will see the description of this mid-Atlantic ridge. It is the longest mid-oceanic ridge in the world. The mid-Atlantic ridge is the longest mid-oceanic ridge in the world, right? So here you must remember that it extends for 14,450 kilometers, and it extends from Iceland. Iceland is a small country there, a small island country. You can see nearby the region of Europe, right, in the Atlantic Ocean. So from the Iceland it starts and it goes up to Bowet Island. Bowet Island is found in the South Atlantic Ocean, right? So Bowet Island is the is the part of South Atlantic Ocean. Got it? Okay. Now we will see here, and actually I would like to bring a diagram of this mid-Atlantic ridge. So here we will see the mid-Atlantic ridge. 1 minute. Okay. So here with this diagram you can infer the things. Okay. Now see, this is the region of Atlantic Ocean. You can observe here the region of Africa. Africa is here, South America is here, it is the North American region, right? It is the North American region. North America is written here, okay? So it is the North American region, and here we have Europe, right? So between these continental part, our Atlantic Ocean is located, right? So this is the Atlantic Ocean. Now if you see the presence of mid-Atlantic ridge here, this whole region, the mid-Atlantic ridge that is present in the region of the mid-Atlantic ridge that is present in the region of the Atlantic Ocean, it attains almost an S shape, right? It attains an S shape. In this way it is seen, right? Its shape is almost resembling the letter alphabet S, right? The alphabet S it resembles. Okay. Now if it is equator, you consider in the diagram it is given as equator. It is the equator, right? So from this equator you can divide this mid-Atlantic ridge into two parts. You can divide this mid-Atlantic ridge into two parts. In which two parts? So the upper or the northern part has been called as Dolphin Rise, right? It has been called as Dolphin Rise. It has been called as Dolphin Rise. And the second part, which is to the south of the equator, it is called as Challenger Rise. It is called as Challenger Rise. So we have two parts of this mid-Atlantic ridge. This mid-Atlantic ridge has been divided into two parts. The northern part, the part that is to the north of the equator, is called as Dolphin Rise, and the part which is south of the you can say the Atlantic Ocean, it is called as the Challenger Rise. So the Dolphin Rise and the Challenger Rise, these are the two basic parts of the mid-Atlantic ridge, right? Not only this, you can see some of the branches of this Dolphin Rise and Challenger Rise. Here you can find that we have one of the branch of this, one of the branch of this in the north that goes towards the European continent, right? It is called as Wavell-Thompson Rise. It is called as Wavell-Thompson Rise, you can see here, right? It is moving towards the European region, right? And the second part is written here. The second part is written here. This second part is called as the telegraphic plateau. Okay. In what way you can observe this? One of the part is moving here in this direction, another part is moving here in this direction. So this is the part of mid-Atlantic ridge that branches at nearby 45° northern latitude. So this part has been called as Wavell-Thompson Ridge. The full name is Wavell-Thompson Ridge, right? And here, which is moving towards the northwest direction, it is called as the telegraphic plateau, right? It is called as the telegraphic plateau. Now, likewise, when you come here nearby the 40° south latitude, 40° south latitude here in the southern Atlantic Ocean, so there is also branching of a part of this Challenger Rise towards the African continent, right? It is called as Walvis Ridge. It is called as Walvis Ridge, right? So Walvis Ridge is that part, Walvis Ridge is that part which basically, Walvis Ridge is that part which basically considered as, it is considered as a branch of Challenger Rise that is moving towards the African continent, right? So it is also a part which you can consider here. So with this diagram has been given to you with the notes, right? So there you can find that how this Walvis Ridge is, the Walvis Ridge is formed and where it is formed. So it branches off from the Challenger Rise nearby the 40°, south latitude, right? The 40° south latitude, it gets branched off. It is the 40° south latitude. From here it branches off from the Challenger Rise, the southern part of the mid-Atlantic ridge. So this is the description of this mid-Atlantic ridge. Okay, now I will take here the text. So the ridge is known as Dolphin Rise to the north and Challenger Rise to the south. I told you, right? South of the equator. Below is the diagram of the mid-Atlantic ridge. I have given you the diagram there, right? It is known as Wavell-Thompson Ridge between Iceland and Scotland. Between Iceland and Scotland, the part is moving here, right? The part is moving here. So it is called as Wavell-Thompson Ridge. And the ridge becomes quite extensive to the south of Greenland and Iceland and is called as telegraphic plateau. I told you about telegraphic plateau. Telegraphic plateau is here, right? So it is the part of telegraphic plateau. Okay, then a significant branch emerges from the central ridge near 50° north latitude and extend northwestward as Newfoundland Rise and continues up to Newfoundland. So this is the Newfoundland Rise, you can see here, right? Guys, you can see here the Newfoundland Rise. It is also a part of it. It is also a part of the Dolphin Rise, right? It is also the part of the Dolphin Rise. Okay. Then after come to the lower part, two significant branches come out of the central ridge near 40° south latitude. The Walvis Ridge extends towards the northeast, right, and merges with African continental shelf, while the Rio Grande Ridge, what is Rio Grande Ridge? You can see here a little part has been shown here, right? This part has been called as the Rio Grande Ridge. It is called as the Rio Grande Ridge. Right? It is moving in this direction. It is moving in this direction. So this Rio Grande Ridge is moving towards where? It is moving towards the South American coast, right? So these are the parts of the mid-Atlantic ridge you can see here, and this mid-Atlantic ridge is one of the minor relief features that has been formed in the region of Atlantic Ocean. But not only this, we are not only confined to this mid-Atlantic ridge only. We have so many of ridges there in the Indian Ocean and in the Pacific Ocean too. So you can be go through some of the text and you will find out there if you Google on the on your internet. So there you can find some of the ridges, those are present in the Indian Ocean as well as in the Pacific Ocean. In the Indian Ocean, I would like to tell you one of the major mid-oceanic ridge that is very much important. It was asked in UPSC examination. It is 90 East Ridge, right? It has been called as 90 East Ridge. Actually, this has been given the name 90 East Ridge because this ridge is considered as almost a parallel ridge, parallel to the 90-degree eastern longitude, right? So since it is almost considered as parallel to the 90-degree east longitude, it has been given the name 90 East Ridge. It has been given as the name 90 East Ridge. So this 90 East Ridge is present in the Indian Ocean. In the examination, the name was asked only, so you must remember this. Okay. Now, the second minor relief feature is called as seamounts and guyots. See, seamounts and guyots are also volcanic in nature. These are also volcanic in nature. And here you must remember that these seamounts and guyots are formed particularly on the part of abyssal plain or part of deep sea plains, right? So how these seamounts and guyots are found? First of all, in crux, I would like to tell you that when you say that any volcanic eruption, an explosive volcanic eruption has been taken place there anywhere in the world, and particularly in the region of oceans, inside the ocean. So there you can find that due to this volcanic eruption, a volcanic cone has been formed. A volcanic cone has been formed. When this volcanic cone has been formed under the ocean water, it has been called as a seamount, right? After the formation of this cone, it has been called as a seamount. Whenever it is called as seamount, so you can say that a seamount after the volcanic eruption, say magmatic material has come out and it can be seen from the above the sea level, right? So after that, after some time, when you can say that volcanic cone has been sinking and it goes under the seawater, So whenever after its sinking, it goes under the seawater, this can be defined as the seamount, right? This can be defined as the seamount. And not only this, sometimes it happens that due to continuous erosion, the top of a seamount becomes flat. The top of the seamount becomes flat. This flattened kind of seamount has been called as guyots, right? So guyots are flat topped. If I tell you, guyots are flat topped seamounts, right? And these flat topped seamounts are formed, due to the gradual erosion at the top of the seamounts. When gradual erosion is taking place at the top of the seamounts, these have been taken as guyots, right? These are the guyots. So here we will see how guyards and seamounts are formed. Seamounts and guyards are both submerged volcanic mountains but differ in their shape and origin. First of all, submerged. That means if we find out the presence of seamounts and guyards, they have been always found in the submerged form. In the submerged form. That means they are always found beneath the sea level, right? In case of mid-oceanic ridge, always remember that some part of the mid-oceanic ridge can be seen above the sea level, and those parts can be seen in the form of islands. Those parts can be seen in the form of island. Iceland is one of the part of the mid-Atlantic ridge. Iceland, which is an island country. See, an extensive island that has been the part of the mid-Atlantic ridge and it is seen above the sea level. This part has been called as the Iceland, right? Iceland is the country there. Okay, so in that way you can consider the thing. Second, these are volcanic mountains. As I told you that seamounts and guyards are formed due to the volcanic eruption. So these are the volcanic mountains, but they differ in their shape and origin. So I was talking about the shape. If we say that a volcanic cone has attaining the pointed summit, right? If they are attaining the pointed summit, they have been called as seamounts. But the flat-topped seamounts are called as guyards. Got it? This is the difference between them. See here, seamounts are generally conical or pointed, while guyards are flat-topped due to erosion by waves and currents when they were once above the sea level, right? When they were above the sea level, after that what happened? When gradual erosion is taking place by the sea waves and currents, so due to that, the seamount become flat-topped, and that flat-topped seamount has been called as guyards. Okay. Both are significant habitats of marine life. Obviously, since they are having a certain slope and this slope is basically nearby the sea level, so in that way they become habitat for different kinds of marine life, because so many of phytoplanktons have been grown there on their slopes, right? So in that way, especially seamounts, which are considered hot spots for biodiversity. These are the isolated submarine volcanic mountains. They do not reach the sea surface. It is very important feature which you can consider here, that they do not reach the sea surface. Okay. They are always submerged in nature. It is the characteristics of seamounts and guyards. Though initially they were formed and they can be seen above the sea level. But with the gradual sinking, we will discuss something in the part of you can say atolls, when we will discuss about atolls, right? So in that way we will discuss those things. But here you must remember that these seamounts and guyards are always submerged. These are always submerged under seawater, and that is why they do not reach the sea surface. This is the major thing you must remember regarding the this minor relief feature, which has been called as seamounts and guyards. Got it? Okay. Then after, we have an example as Emperor Seamount. This Emperor Seamount has been recognized as one of the largest seamount under seawater, and it is present in the Pacific Ocean. It is the example here. Okay. Then come to another minor relief feature that has been called as submarine canyons, right? Now these submarine canyons, as I told you, that canyons are basically a kind of valley. Canyons are a kind of valley. If such canyons are found under seawater, they have been called as submarine canyons. They have been called as submarine canyons, right? Okay. Now for submarine canyons, what you have to remember here, like the continental canyons, they are also steep-sided valley. They are also deep, and they are carved into the ocean floor, primarily on the continental slope. This is very important. On the continental slopes they have been formed, and sometimes extending onto the continental shelf. But sometimes it is not the regular feature of this submarine canyon. Remember here that the submarine canyons are generally formed on the part of continental slope, right? On the part of continental slope. Now see here, if I say that it is the sea level, the continental shelf is extended towards under the sea water, then after shelf break takes place, and then after you can say this continental slope has been formed. If I tell you that on this continental slope part, somehow you can say a fault has been created. So due to the formation of fault, you can say a gap has been formed there. And so that the formation of a submarine canyon has taken place, right? Because due to the slip of one of the rock block, a gap has been formed. This gap has been formed in the form of a rift, which is having steep side slopes, right? So in this way the canyons are formed here in the part of continental slope. Got it? They are similar to land-based canyons as I was telling, but underwater, and serve as pathways for sediment transport from the land to the deep ocean. One thing I told you when we were discussing about the continental rise. So I was telling you that when a submarine canyon has been formed, so basically this submarine canyon has been formed in such a way that it basically serves as, because when you can say sediments are coming from the continental shelf region, these sediments are moving through these these submarine canyons and moving to the bottom of the continental slope. The submarine canyons serve as the pathway for the movement of those sediments which are coming from the continental shelf region. Got it? And in that way the sediments reach up to the bottom of the continental slope. In that way you must remember the things. Okay. Now we have another example here. See here, Hudson Canyon. Hudson Bay is there in the part of Atlantic Ocean to the north of, you can say, North America. So this Hudson Canyon is present there, and it is present in the Atlantic Ocean, right? It is present in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. Then come to this fourth minor relief feature. This fourth minor relief feature has been called as atoll. It is called as atoll. What is this atoll? An atoll is a ring-shaped coral reef. First of all, here you must remember this thing, ring-shaped coral reef. This is the first point you must remember here. What is that? It is the ring-shaped coral reef, right? Okay. Ring-shaped coral reef that encircles a lagoon. Lagoon is a kind of, you can say, lake. Lagoon is a kind of lake that is filled with seawater. Okay. Lagoon is a kind of lake that is filled with seawater. Okay. So it encircles a lagoon. That means this ring-shaped structure has been formed, or this ring-shaped coral reef has been formed there around a lagoon, around the seawater, right? And in that way you can say it is filled with seawater. So this part has been called as, this encircled part has been called as the atoll, right? Atolls can be made up of coral islets or the central island. They are found in warm tropicals and subtropical oceans. And remember here where atolls are formed. So obviously, since atolls are actually a form of coral reefs, corals are normally found in the tropical seas and sometimes in the subtropical seas and oceans where the water is warmer. So in that region these atolls are also found. Atolls form when volcanic islands sink beneath the sea surface while fringing coral reefs continue to grow upward, eventually forming a ring-shaped reef with a central lagoon. This process, which can take millions of years, is driven by volcanic activity, coral growth, subsidence and erosion. These four processes are basically involved in the formation of atoll. With you can say one of the diagram, I would like to show you that how these atolls have been formed. So I am just taking this diagram here. Okay. One minute. Okay. See this diagram. This diagram is showing the formation of atoll. Okay, what happens here? First of all, due to the volcanic eruption, say it is the process of formation of seamount, right? So due to the volcanic eruption, say a volcanic cone has been formed in which its top is seen above the sea level. This is the sea level and its top is seen above the sea level. Now if a part of you can say any volcanic cone that can be seen above the sea level and it is surrounded by water from all the sides, so obviously it can be taken as an island, right? So in this way, first of all, you can say, as I told you that the formation of atoll is driven by volcanic activity. So how volcanic activity is involved there? Because initially in the initial phase of the formation of atoll, first of all you can say a volcanic island is formed. So if it is a volcanic island, obviously it must be made by the volcanic activity. Got it? Okay. So this volcanic island has been formed. Then what happened? After that, you can say around this volcanic island some corals are starting grown, right? They start growing here, and due to the growth of corals, you can say with the passage of time they have been engaged in the formation of coral reefs, right? They have been engaged in the formation of coral reefs. Once you see here that coral reefs are formed in such a way that the deposition of skeletons of corals is seen up to the sea level, If this happen, you can say such kind of coral reef has been called as fringing reef. It is called as fringing reef. Fringing reef is one of the form of, or you can say one of the feature of the coral reef, right? Fringing reef is one of the type of coral reefs, right? Then what happens? As I told you that once a volcanic island has been formed, after that when it is going to be cooled, and subducted, so it starts sinking. This volcanic island starts sinking. When it starts sinking, the fringing reef has been subducting from nearby the volcanic island, and that is how you can say this kind of coral reef has been formed. The coral reef has been converted into this shape, that from the slope of the volcanic island and from the slope of the you can say mountain, right? It is basically subducting, and a little far from here it is nearby the sea level. A little far from the here, it is nearby the sea level. When this shape is attained by the coral reef, it has been called as barrier reef. It has been called as barrier reef. As you have seen in the case of Australia, we have discussed about the Great Barrier Reef. So Great Barrier Reef is an example of the barrier reef, right? How it is considered as barrier? Because if ships are moving towards the continental part or towards such island, so though we can see that everywhere there is water, but the base of the ship collides with this projected part which is just nearby the sea level, and so that it causes a kind of barrier in the route of the ships, and that is why they have been called as barrier reef. Okay, the sinking has been taken place. It is written here, subsiding volcano, right, or subsiding volcanic island, right? So the volcanic island is subsiding here. Okay, not only this, if you see here, when it gets subsided completely, so obviously you can find here that the whole region, because coral reefs are not only found in the sides, you can imagine that the formation of coral reef has been taken place from all the sides. It has been taken place in all the sides, right? So in that way you can say the volcanic island has been subsided completely, and due to its subduction, you can say this projected part of the barrier reef has been completely stretched, right? And since it gets submerged, so obviously it is, this middle portion is covered by seawater, right? So now there is seawater in the middle, and the surrounding region is basically covered by the coral reefs, right? So in this way you can say a kind of ring-shaped coral reef has been formed. This ring-shaped coral reef has been formed, and in the middle it is a kind of lake that is filled with seawater. So it can be called as lagoon. So a lagoon is when a lagoon is surrounded by such kind of ring-shaped coral reefs. This ring-shaped coral reef has been called as atoll. This is called as atoll, right? So here we have lagoon. Here we have lagoon. It is the start of formation of lagoon, but the part of, you can say, volcanic island, a little part of volcanic island is seen here in this case, and so that you can say the kind of reef has been called as barrier reef initially. Then after the formation of barrier reef, you can say an atoll has been formed. And initially when reefs are going to be formed here nearby the volcanic island, it has been called as fringing reef. So first of all, around a volcanic island, a fringing reef has been formed. Then due to the subsidence of the volcanic island or the volcanic feature, this fringing reef has been converted into barrier reef, and then after the complete subsidence of the volcanic island, you can say the atolls are formed, right? So in this way you can see these minor relief features which are very important. These minor relief features are having such important presence under the seawater, and since they are mostly formed on the major relief, one of the major relief features, that is why they have been called as minor relief features. So I hope that you understood all these things regarding the characteristics of the minor relief features and the major relief features of the ocean basin, right? So in this way we have discussed all these things. In the next session we will discuss about the temperature and the salinity conditions of the ocean water. So up to that, goodbye to all of you, and we will discuss all these things. If you get any confusion, if you get any kind of questions, any kind of query, so obviously consult me in the comment box. I will answer all those questions, all those queries which you will ask there, right? Thank you very much.